Welcome back, everybody. Today we're going to be talking about renting versus buying versus living with your parents. Now, when I started this finance series, I had a spreadsheet that showed you how to budget your wants, your needs, your debt, and your savings, all of the basic stuff. Today we're going to be talking about this property, which is a rental that I bought specifically for this series, and I'm going to talk about the pros and cons of real estate, because a lot of people on YouTube are heavily for real estate. I've had some heated comments telling me that in order to become a millionaire, you need to buy real estate, and that could not be further from the truth. One of the fastest ways to become a millionaire is actually to live with your parents, because your living expenses will be zero. Now, this is a hotly debated thing. Is living with your parents okay? Does it stunt your professional growth? Well, if the only thing that matters to you is money, absolutely go for it. Good for you.
Don't forget to like this video before you roast me in the comment section.
Moving on, let's talk about renting versus buying. First, let's talk about renting. In the city that I live, Orange County, I can rent a room in a house for $700, and this 2-bedroom, 2-bath condo will rent for about $2,700. So when you compare the cost of renting a room to the cost of renting something like this, that itself is an interesting comparison. You could be saving $24,000 a year just by renting a room in a house over renting something like this. And that's exactly what I did when I was going to grad school. I rented a room in a house with other students, and because I was so busy and I was never home, it was perfect, and it allowed me to save my money from work and invest it. And this is not a rent versus buy comparison, this is a rent versus rent comparison. So when many people are looking at the rent versus buy argument, they're not looking at their needs and their wants. They're basically spending more money because they want the bigger place. There's a lot of emotion involved in housing, which brings me to me buying this. The reason really why I bought this was so that I could buy a dog. Purely emotional. If everything was about money, I would never have bought this place. I make more money in the stock market, I would have never bought this place. So let's discuss the financial benefits of buying this place. It further diversifies my portfolio. It allows me to test the strategies on real estate that I learned in graduate school, and that's about it. When I purchased this property, it was listed for $330,000. I did a discounted cash flow analysis on it, and I realized that I would pay up to $380,000, and at that price it was still underpriced. And so when I bid on this property, I was up against 9 other real estate investors. I had the highest bid. I had the highest bid at $370,000 when I purchased it, but I was not a cash buyer like the other real estate investors. And so I had to come up with $100,000 in order for them to be certain that my loan would close, and that kind of sucked. I had to not only come up with $100,000, I had to give them $20,000 in a cashier check that day as a deposit, and then wire over the $80,000 after. And so that's it. My $100,000 is gone, and that is opportunity cost. That's one of the biggest problems with real estate. When you put that down payment down, your money is gone. And that money came out of my brokerage account. That was stocks and bonds. And so it's not earning money for me anymore. It's just sitting in this property. $100,000 gone. So how do I get that money back? Well, because I bought this property under market, I was able to get it reappraised after I purchased it, and it appraised for much higher than I bought it. I then took cash out of the property. I took $40,000 out. I actually could have taken out more cash, but I took $40,000 out so that I only had $60,000 in this investment. What did I do with that $40,000? You guys know that I buy and sell cars. I took that $40,000 and I put it to work, and I flipped a few cars. I ended up getting a Camaro ZL1 that you saw on this channel. I've now sold that car for a profit, and that's what I do. Now that money is back in the stock market. I think I bought 500 shares of Apple with it. And so one of the biggest problems with real estate is the opportunity cost, and you need to think about that when you're thinking about putting a large chunk of money down. If you could invest that money somewhere else and make a higher return, what would that look like? The other point I want to make here is the liquidity argument. People that are against real estate say that real estate is not liquid. You can't access your gains. I have found that that is actually false. It's extremely easy to refinance and take cash out. I just showed you how I did it. And so that argument doesn't make sense to me, and it's not true. I just proved that argument wrong. Let's talk about how I did with this investment. Today, comparable condos that are in worse condition are selling for over $500,000. So let's just assume that this place is worth $500,000. I have increased my net worth by $130,000 simply by buying this property and holding it. And now I have the option to cash out again. So when you consider that I had $60,000 in this deal and I gained $130,000, that's a very good investment. But this brings me to the point on leverage. I used leverage to buy this property. If I had used leverage in my brokerage account with my stocks that I picked over the same period, I would have outperformed real estate. And again, this is why I am not a big proponent of real estate. I still make money on it, but it is purely emotional for me. I bought this property so that I could have a nice place for my dog and I could have a nice place to go home to after work. So what about people who make bad real estate decisions? This is very common. So when I worked in the mortgage industry, that was one of my first jobs out of grad school, I got to see people's finances, I got to see everything. And a lot of people would really stretch themselves to buy their home because a home is such an emotional decision. And I fully understand that. I love having my own space. It's worth it. It costs a lot of money. I'm paying about $2,000 a month with my principal, interest, taxes, insurance, and homeowners association dues and the bills. And so this is an expensive place. I could be renting out a room and saving money, but I wouldn't have my dog right now. I wouldn't have this space to record my videos, to work on the motorcycle. It's a very nice place to live. So from an emotional perspective, that $2,000 a month, yeah, it's definitely worth it. I am in a great location. I'm up on a hill. I have a great view of Orange County. I am 20 minutes from the beach. I can go surfing at Huntington, or I can go down to Newport and go sailing. I can drive up to the San Bernardino Mountains. Those are an hour away. That's where I go off-roading. That's where I go boating, motorboat, not sailboat. So overall, buying this place was great. A great emotional decision for me because it makes me happy. So in conclusion, if all you care about is money, living with your parents is the best option. The next best option is to rent a room, and if you care about the emotional aspects, then real estate probably is the way to go for you. That is all I have for you guys. Thank you for watching, and make sure that you enjoy your car. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.